Good afternoon, everyone. It is amazing to see everyone here on this beautiful May Day. Really hats off to the folks here at Baker Creek for putting on such an amazing event. Hope that you guys can take your time to see all the vendors and the other speakers this afternoon. All right, so today, there's always so much I want to cover with these kind of events, and there's just no way I can get to it all. So what I'm going to do today is something a little bit different. Normally I try to cover 10 to 20 different topics, but I end up going so fast and skim them over that often folks just leave wondering what in the world, which one do I pick to do this year? Because you can only do a few. So for this afternoon, I just want to cover 4 simple, cheap, easy things you can do on your garden, or if you have a small farm, maybe you sell at a farmer's market, or you just want to grow food for your own family and for friends in your neighborhood. 4 things that if you could do, they're very inexpensive, they don't take much time, but they will change your life come July and August. Because that is when the reality check always bounces for all of us. This time of the year, we see all these amazing seeds and plants, and we want to plant it all. And then July and August hits, and we feel like we're the worst gardeners ever, right? So that's what to cover. And then I want to leave plenty of time after I talk for questions, because obviously I'm not going to be able to cover it all, and probably won't cover enough of each of these 4 things in detail for you. So I'm going to leave plenty of time for any questions or comments, and I'll try and get to as many of them as possible. I do find that a lot of times the Q&A does give the most value to the listeners. So let's get started. All right, so my name is Ray Tyler. I have a farm in Selmer, Tennessee, Rose Creek Farms. Me and my family, we started this back in 2010. We had $150, no money. I just got laid off in the recession. And my wife wanted me to grow a few plants for her so she could put away some salsa. And had no idea what I was doing. The weeds were this high. I had to hunt for the peppers and the tomatoes. But there was something about planting that seed, caring for it, tending to it, harvesting that, and feeding that to my family was just intoxicating, and I was hooked. So after that year, I went, you know what? I was a high-end shrimp carpenter for a lot of billionaires in Memphis. Then I did some welding, and I went, I'm ready to really just work and tend the earth and see, is there a way could I do this and for a full-time living for my family? That was in 2010. I've made a lot of mistakes. It's been very, very difficult learning how to grow in West Tennessee, as well as turning this into a business, because this is a business for us. I have employees. I have a lot of systems where we dial in our sales. We go to the farmers market here in Franklin, where this is. We do about $20,000 a week in sales Saturday morning. So it's very intense. We're very on purpose. But there's no way I could pull this off without getting a few basic systems, what I call just foundations, that really just helps me buy time back. Because that's the one thing that is limited for every one of us, is time. It's fairly easy if you have a good work ethic and you're willing to hustle. You can make money. Most of us can make money. It is very hard to buy time. And what I've learned with trying to grow food is it just takes a lot of time to grow produce. It just does. And then we only have so much time in the day. I've got a wife and 6 kids. They all need my time. So everybody and every living plant wants more and more of my time. And so I've really tried to dial in systems and things that buy me time. Yes, it's fun to hand water plants with a watering bucket, but if you use the automatic water timer, it can buy you a lot of time. So that's what we're going to kind of really cover here. My whole family is really involved with our whole farm process. My 2 older daughters do all of our packing the pack shed for our big farmers market. We also do home deliveries. We have an online store, Shopify, with Rose Creek Farm Store.com. They also go to the farmers market as well. Asha, my older daughter there in the black, she is turning 18 next month. And at 12 years old, she knew, hey, I want to have a truck when I'm 18, and I think I actually want to maybe take this over. So we actually gave her some ownership in the market. We gave her 1% of all the gross sales, plus for money, because, we, like yesterday morning, we got up at 2 a.m., we were there by 5:30 a.m. It's about 2.5 hours away. I drove straight here last night. So, she's definitely working. But we gave her ownership. So she knows if she restocks and helps find out where things can go and treats customers well, we'll get more sales. So that's how we went from $800 a week on a Saturday morning to yesterday was $21,000. So we kind of brought her along that journey. And she is like, Dad, I want this market when I'm 18. You can go find something else to do, but this is mine. Anyways, I wanted to create a farm that my kids did not hate. There's a lot of farmers and gardeners out there whose kids hate the farm and they hate their dad for farming. It's real, right? So we have a 8-hour working day, and then in that 8 hours, I've looked at how can I maximize my time to seed the most, plant the most, harvest the most, pack the most, and sell the most in that 8-hour work day. And so we just work backwards. If I'm running out of time, I ask myself, can I automate this system? Maybe we shouldn't be growing this crop. There's all these different things. So even though this is a farm, most of you guys are probably gardeners, but this can apply to your garden. Because I know most of you, if you're like me, there's something magical and beautiful and sacred on growing your own food. It's a lost art, right? Right now, it's so easy to plant the seed, but once it comes July and August, we lose sight of that vision, and we end up hating our garden, we end up hating ourselves because we're a failure. So, and I've done that to myself for many, many years. Burnout is really real. So, now we have a farm business. We grow a lot of produce. Most of our produce is grown on 1 acre. I did just recently start another 2-acre project for root crops that I'm still working on, but most of what we grow is done on 1 acre. Very, very small scale, very intensive, all done by hand, no tractors, and it's work. But we've made this in such a lifestyle where my kids don't hate it. They look forward to the farmer's market. They go to the pack shed, and they pack and wash all the lettuce that my team harvested. We pay them well. I mean, my daughter paid $20,000 cash for her first car. She did it all herself. So now they can see what happens if they start early. Again, she started when she was 12. And so, she just got better and better each year. And so now she can see, hey, if I work hard and I save my money, I can really do some stuff with this. All right. So here is kind of what our farm looks like. All right. We used to grow in open fields on this farm. This is kind of in the valley. We got a lot of flooding. There's a lot of years where we were getting over 100 inches of rain, and plants need water, but not that much water. My perspective on farming is it's much easier to add water than it is to take it away. It really is. And if you're relying on consistent production, not, we're going to harvest tomatoes 2 weeks out of the year. No, we want to harvest tomatoes every single week for 20 weeks. Then you got to make sure that you're controlling any kind of environmental events as you can. So we do grow all in soil. Very, very passionate about soil health. But we need to protect our crops. So this whole farm is 100% under small, low-tech cap tunnels. We grow in the soil, but we just protect it from the heavy rain, wind, and we're also can extend the season. So part of our strategy has been we want to have tomatoes first at market, squash, zucchini, green beans, all that stuff before anybody else has. We create customer loyalty, and they stick with us for the rest of the season. This is my new project I just started a few years ago. This is open field stuff, so this is all primarily root crops. So we grow a big, tenth of an acre of carrots. We'll take the tops off, we'll put them in cold storage, and then we can sell from that cold storage all winter long. So that's what this is. I'm just getting it started. I've got a long ways to go on this. But that's a little bit about kind of what I do here. So this is where we sell at the farmers markets. Our booth here in the middle, that is a 20 by 50 foot booth. I think we have 140 linear feet of table space where we sell. It's stacked up, as you can see. Every 4th of July, we do this American flag out of radishes. And so there's sometimes in the season we'll do like roasted peppers. We're always trying to really create an experience for folks. We want a sense of abundance. Even though our competitors there, which we're great friends with, have 20, 50, even 100 acres, we want to look like we have a 1,000-acre farm, right? But most of this comes from 1 acre. And so we've just kind of grown this each year. Again, my children have really been a part of helping this whole market grow. All right, so let's walk through 4 things if you could take away from this talk. All right, this is what I practice, and I do a lot of consulting with other farmers, and these are one of the first 4 basic things that whether you're growing 20 tomato plants in your backyard garden or you have 20 acres. From my experience, this is the 4 things that really don't require that much capital and time to set up, but they'll give you the greatest return on production, abundance, and will save you a lot of time. Fertility. A lot of us are not really thinking about having good soil fertility. Like the previous speaker talked about, I do a lot of soil tests as well. What I do for me, because I'm not as dedicated as she is on soil science, because I'm really more in the business side of things, is I do take a soil test. I send my soil test results to a company called Morgan Composting in Michigan. They make me a custom fertilizer organic blend for my soil deficiencies, and that really has changed the quality and just the vibrant colors of our produce. Just that one move, it simplified it, it dumbed it down, so basic that my 18-year-old daughter could kind of follow this basic system. Soil test, send it off. Look, Morgan Composting makes our custom blend that's organic. It comes back to us. We apply 2 buckets per bed, and we're off to the races. Drip tape. Actually, this should have been irrigation. Okay? Relying on rain is very, very challenging because it's either too much water or not enough. Like we've had the driest spring I can remember since I started farming in 2010. Been very, very, very dry. But I love it because I have irrigation, and so I water when I need it. So whether this be a garden hose, and there's some other kind of systems that I'll kind of show that you can kind of get started. But having irrigation set up in your garden or your field before you plant the first seed. Plants need more water than what you realize, but it can't be all at once. It needs to be an hour every other day or every other third day, depending on the season and how hot it is. But you get that dialed in first, and you will see your production double if you can have consistent, reliable irrigation. And you don't need to spend $10,000 on an irrigation system. There's some really affordable, easy to build systems that can just completely transform your garden. Automation. Automation is, simply put, is we're looking for the cheapest, most dumbest, easy to use automation, because I am not a tech guy. It needs to be dumbed down where I can twist it, push the button, put the timer, and it will go. And so this automation makes it to where I don't have to think about when to turn off the water or when to turn it on. And oh my goodness, it's 12 o'clock at night. I forgot to turn off the valve and the whole greenhouse is flooded and it's just a mess, right? So simple automatic timers completely change the game in our production. We're literally growing 20 times more volume of produce on this 1 acre than I was 13 years ago on 3. Okay? Weed control. My goodness. The fantasy I lived for 5 years thinking that I'm going to have time to go out there in July and pull weeds. Yeah. Man, the amount of years I was completely out of my mind. And my wife's like, Ray, you keep talking to me every July that you're going to do something about these weeds, but you never do, right? So once I really dialed in weed control, that was another game changer. So these 4 things, and then I'm going to break these down. So fertility. Right now, obviously, it's probably not practical for you guys to take a soil test and go take it to Morgan Composting and buy a 2,000-pound sling bag of fertilizer for your garden. This product, which you can get off of Amazon, Garden Tone, I've used this before. This is a great, fantastic, organic fertilizer that will grow very good, vibrant, lush plants. It's on my scale, this is really expensive, right? Because I would, my fertilizer cost would go from $5,000 to $100,000 if I use this product. But if you're only growing a small garden, this really makes a lot of sense. This is, even though you can buy it from a box store, it has just a lot of fantastic organic amendments. You can buy this on Amazon Prime. I mean, it's just, you go on Amazon when you get home, buy a bag. And some of these products, let me just say this. There's a lot of these products that you may think, I just don't know if I want to do my whole garden this. What if it doesn't work? Well, do this. Let's just say if you have 10, 20-foot beds. Don't do your whole farm what I'm telling you to do. Just do one bed. As this is what I do every year, is when I try something new, I do a small test plot side by side with another one, and I want to see which one, is this snake oil here, or is this really actually working? Okay? So that's what I would do. I would buy a very small bag, do a test, and see how much, if it makes a difference at all. If it doesn't, then, hey, just toss it and find something else. But if it really works, then hey, next year, I'm going to do this for the whole farm, because that side-by-side trial was night and day difference. Irrigation, all right? On my farm, I've got 2 dual systems. It's a little bit more complex. If you look at the picture there on the right, it's got these overhead netafim misters. That's just nice overhead. Obviously, for a garden, you probably don't have that. But most of what a lot of gardeners do have access to is drip tape. I'll show that in the next one. So here is a very simple drip tape kit. Now, I buy mine from a supplier called Deerfield Supplies. It's for a farm supply. It's coming with a 7,000-foot roll of drip tape. That's probably too much for what you guys need on your scale. But again, another thing is, if you're thinking, well, I normally just let nature do its thing, but you're wanting to get a little bit more production from your small space, you can spend $25. Just try 1 or 2 beds of drip tape. And that's, you're getting water right to the soil. You're not wasting it with the overhead sprinkler where the wind is blowing it away. It's very efficient. And see if this makes a difference on your farm this year. All right, automatic irrigation timer. Automation. $38. okay? And you never have to set a reminder on your phone or wake up in the middle of the night wondering, wait, did I turn that off? I had no idea, right? Automatic, okay? My kids can set this. It's very, very simple. $35 and you can have exactly the right amount of water on your plot at exactly the right time throughout the week. Consistency with all these things makes a massive impact on your overall success of how much produce you can harvest from your garden. All right, landscape fabric. All right, now this is a highly controversial tool because it's plastic, and I get it, right? I know the arguments on both sides, and I respect the folks who hate this because of plastic. I'm with you 100%. This is, everything there is a compromise and a balance, right? I needed to have a business that my kids did not hate me. And if I were to keep my farm weed free, I would be working 15 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it was either keep my family loving me or use plastic. And so I chose to use plastic, okay? Now, that's me. I'm not telling that you have to do that. If you hate this, respect, I get it. I honestly hate this too. I wish I had a 36-hour day and plenty of time to pull weeds, but I just don't, right? So if you look at the picture on the right, that is with no landscape fabric. And that was, again, this was in early spring. I thought I was going to get out there and do it, but we kept having rain after rain. I just could not get to the field. This is the exact same field a year later. The same time. No weeds. Believe it or not, the picture in the right, there's crops in there. I promise you. Okay? So here's the thing, is everyone is different, but I would rather not see all the weeds. I'd rather see a little bit of plastic. It's unsightly. We all know it's not great for the environment. 100% agree. But this is the compromise I chose to make to make my family stay in love with what I do for a living. Because I really like what I do. And I don't want to go work for a corporation. I want to work outside with plants, selling nutrient-dense produce to good folks in our community. And so this is the compromise I made. Not great. I'm sure there's better stuff out there. But for now, this is what we're doing. So if you ever can remember back last year's July, August, some of you may recognize the look of more weeds than produce. Something to just think about. There is something really amazing going to your farm or garden patch and not seeing grass knee-high. It's really fantastic. It's really fantastic. I highly recommend having that experience once in July and August. All right. And again, this is actually made for my great friends, South Nashville. This is Quick Plant Fabric. I buy mine in a 300-foot roll. I burn it myself because I'm always trying new custom sizes. But they make this already pre-burned, ready to go. And again, this costs $13. Try it. Try just one small plot, one bed right next to one without. And just see what kind of experience. Do you like it? Did it help with the weeds? Did it not? One thing about landscape fabric too, there's actually two great things about landscape fabric, besides for the weed part of it. Is one, it retains soil moisture, meaning you do not have to water as much. All right, earthworms. I'm a huge fan of earthworms and microbes. Both those things need soil temperatures 85 degrees. If it gets warmer than 85 degrees, they go down. Well, you need microbes and earthworms close to your roots because they eat nutrients, they excrete the nutrients, and that's how your plants uptake them to grow healthy. So we want all those earthworms and microbes up to the surface of the soil as much as possible so they can keep cycling nutrients for our plants. Now, I've done real-time laser temperatures on bare soil in our farm. In July, I think it was July 10th, the surface of our soil was 147 degrees. Ain't nothing living is near that surface of the soil. They're down. And I was wondering, like, why are my plants not looking so good? There's no weeds there, like, we're cultivating. But they had escaped the soil because it was basically a furnace. We put landscape fabric, right? And then I peeled back that landscape fabric and I measured the surface of that soil and it was 87 degrees. Okay? Completely different soil structure, health going on just by using the landscape fabric. So I love earthworms, I love microbes. I want them all over in my soil, and I have seen a massive increase on soil biology by using landscape fabric. Again, I get it, not for everyone, but it's done very, very, very well for me. All right. That's it. Questions? Yes?
What about instead of landscape fabrics, straw? It's probably not feasible on your acreage, but...
That is so her question was, what about straw? I think that's a great option if you can find it that's not been sprayed, right? Because we are certified organic, so we cannot have anything that's been sprayed. But if you have access to straw, highly recommend using straw. Our other problem with straw that we've experienced is it blows away in the wind because we get 60-mile-an-hour winds in the spring, early summer, and so there's just nothing left. But yes, I think if you have access to straw, that is a much better option than fabric. And it does the same thing. Yes, sir.
Soaker hose.
Soaker hose. I don't use them, but I know what they are.
I mean, do you? I was wanting to use them instead of a sprinkler system.
Yep.
And with a tuna can at the end to measure my 1 inch of water per week.
Yep, that's a great idea. So he was saying that he likes to use soaker hose. I think that works great as well. Lowe's, Walmart carries that. It's a bit more expensive per linear feet than drip tape, but it's absolute. If you got to lay it around, use that.
I got a new one that I'm going to try this year. I haven't got it in yet, one. I'm going to try it.
Okay.
I got some straw, like, where was it, Baumgarten? But it's, like, already shredded up, and there's no seeds in it, and it has some kind of a tacky stuff that's organic that makes it stick down.
Interesting. Okay.
I can't remember the name of it, but I'm going to try it.
Good luck. Yes, ma'am.
You said solar hose. What does that look like? What is that? I'm a newbie, so.
You're good. What was the question again?
What is a soaker hose? I'm a
Okay.
newbie.
So if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, it'll be this black hose, and they have like just thousands of little tiny holes, and it just kind of seeps from the hose. It's very, very slow. So instead of like pouring out onto your soil, it's a very gentle. It's very easy on the soil.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a harvest house?
Am I what?
Are you a harvest house with RVers?
I am not. No, sadly, I'm not. Maybe one day in the future.
Okay.
But not at the. Yes, ma'am.
Explain how you secure it, because we get a lot of that weather as well. My fabric always ends up across my
Blowing away? Yes. Okay. So we use 8-inch sod staples. 8-inch. Yep. I found that 8 inch is what you really need. You may need to get a hammer to beat that in, and then to get it out, you have to use the claw to get it out.
Do you have a problem with it ripping ever, with the...
Okay, no. So there's two kinds of landscape fabric. You got the really thin, but we use a 3.2 ounce. So make sure it says 3.2 ounce. I've had stuff since 2014. I have yet to see anything disintegrate. Like it will keep for a very, very, very long time. I have no idea how long. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
The drip tube, drip tape comes in six strips, 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches.
That's correct. I think for a garden it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, what can you get? I like the 8-inch personally for my farm.
Do you have to plant the plants right at that?
It's easier if you do that, but I don't.
Okay.
No. So if you look back at that fabric here, it's there we go. The holes are spaced. There's actually a gentleman selling these metal templates for this. I saw this morning. It's actually a lot cheaper just to buy these rolls blank and burn it yourself. But they're based. These holes are like 6 inches apart, right? So there may be 3 holes, whatever, and then you put your drip tape in between that. Yes, ma'am.
Do you leave your landscape fabric down in the winter?
No. Landscape always comes up. I'll amend the soil. We'll loosen it up, and then we'll put back down another spacing, and we do another crop. So we're certified organic, so we have to do crop rotations, which is much better for your soil. So yeah, it's always coming up. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
If you're starting new beds, how do you prep that area first?
Oh man. Okay. There's so many ways to do this. It's just really whatever you have available, right? If you're starting from scratch, I would recommend don't buy a tiller because they're only going to use it in the spring. So I would just go to Home Depot or sometimes on Facebook Marketplace, folks are renting out their tiller and just rent it, in maybe $25 a day or whatever you can find, and just till that garden section with the tiller. That's honestly probably your best way. Is the least barrier to entry. Instead of buying I've got a 2-wheel kind of tiller, but it's an $8,000 unit, right? You don't need that for a garden.
We also have a lot of rocks.
Yeah, and so I would, and so I would just go and you may have to pitchfork some of those boulders out. I'm sure you've got lots of rocks there. This area is pretty rocky. Yes, ma'am.
So you said you have tunnels that you garden in.
Yes.
How do you pollinate your plants?
Well, okay, so let me go back. Okay, it's hard to see, but what you're looking at, this is the end of a tunnel. Okay? So it's all open. So, and then on the sides, we actually can raise the sides up. So there's a lot of breeze and air, and bees they're all in there. Bugs, we got lots of bugs. Like there's lots of pollinators. Yes, sir.
Are you not worried about disease from overhead water?
Okay, great point. The question was, are you not worried about disease from overhead watering? Yes, I am. So what I do in some of our systems is when we first transplant, we'll overhead water for the first week, just to get the roots established, because overhead waters so fast and it's so even. And then after about 2 weeks, we shut off the overhead and switch to drip, because we want to keep the leaves dry as much as possible. Great question. Yes, ma'am.
What about disease and predatory bugs? Or not predatory bugs, but just cutting worms and
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. For disease, we've been trying this product from AEA called Pinion. Really good for disease. It's I believe it's certified organic. If it's not, it's in the process. For bugs, because we are certified organic, we are very limited on what we can do. We use a lot of yellow sticky traps. Some of our tunnels, like cucumbers, actually don't need pollination. They'll kind of cross-pollinate themselves. We're always in there kind of, moving and working around. We'll actually put insect netting around some of our houses, just only a few. So there is some organic biologicals that we can use to help reduce pest pressure. Doesn't really kill them, but it just makes them sluggish and just kind of keeps them at bay. We also use beneficial nematodes. So it's basically all soil has nematodes. Some of them are harmful, like they'll actually eat your roots. We buy beneficial nematodes. So we'll put them in the soil, and they go after things like flea beetle larvae, right? So it's called Triple Attack from Arbico out of Arizona, I believe. So that is the most probably best product that I know, is trying to use the beneficials. It's not perfect. Like if you go into our field 2 high tunnel, there's we have a lot of cucumber beetles in that tunnel that we're just trying to figure out. Like we've got the sticky traps. It's like 6 inches wide. There's I think 400 linear feet of this yellow sticky trap that will kind of attract those bugs and they'll get stuck in them. So that's another option. It's just a never-ending battle, to be honest. We're organic, so we can't just nuke the stuff. Yes, ma'am.
Do you do any cover crops then?
Yes, a buckwheat. Buckwheat, is a great one because that really attracts pollinators and beneficial insects. Sudan grass, I highly, especially if you're from around this area of the U.S., Sudan grass will get this tall, and you can mow it, and it'll just keep on growing. Grows in a drought. It's amazing for adding organic matter to your soil. Fantastic cover crop. Yes, sir.
What about rabbits, squirrels,
Oh my gosh,
deer?
kids.
How do you protect them though?
Okay, all right. Oh, don't get me started. I am lost. Yes. All right, my blood pressure's going up. All right. All right. So what? The armadillo has been a massive problem. So every time there's a drought, right? The armadillos, they're looking for moist soil to root in. They're looking for grubs and earthworms. We got plenty of them. Well, all the other fields are dry, hard as a rock. So where do they go? To our beautiful, lush, loamy fields of lettuce. So we've had to screen. I don't have a picture here. This is actually let's see. All right. So every one of these tunnels on the ends there has this lightweight deer netting that we get from Deerfield Supplies. It's about 5 foot high, and it's kind of on this hooks. We staple it to the ground, and that keeps the rabbits, chickens, armadillos, some kids, out of your fields. So that's what I do. Yes.
On your Sudan grass, how do you terminate?
Bush hog mower, line trimmer.
Then you cover it.
No, so like last year we just bush hogged it and let it grow again. There's this big field. Hello. In that new rental field that I'm working on building. Come on, Bessie. Here we go. There's a field that you can kind of see in the distance. We're wanting to possibly put some tunnels up there the next few years. So we're growing Sudan grass and cover crop in there. We're really trying to work that soil now. This is kind of a long-term project I'm working on. So we're just bush hogging it, and the Sudan grass will just keep on growing until your first frost. It's amazing, amazing cover crop.
So the frost terminates it. Does it then grow back?
The only way it'll terminate is you go either till it in or a frost. Like you bush hog it, it's just going to keep on growing. That's what's so great about it. And it doesn't matter how dry it is, it just keeps on cranking. It's great. All right, anybody else? How am I looking around? Yes, ma'am.
Does that grass come back every year? Or do you have to plant it?
No. So that Sudan grass, no, you got to keep. In fact, tomorrow we're hoping to get that seeded before our next bout of rain. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Do you take that cover or that landscape fabric off and then amend the?
Yes, correct. Yep. So this is work for sure. So we take up all those staples, we fold up that fabric, we'll put that away, and then it depends what we're doing next. Sometimes, because the one good thing about doing landscape fabric is it keeps the soil underneath the fabric. It keeps the water level hydrated, so that soil is loose. It's not dry. It's not hard. So sometimes we'll take off the fabric and it's clean. Like, you harvest your crop. There's no weeds underneath there. We already pulled the plants up. So we can literally direct seed a cover crop right in then after we pull that fabric off. And then you can, sometimes what we'll do too is if you do buckwheat right after you pull off the fabric, it'll be this high. And you can just put landscape fabric on top of that cover crop and it'll smother it. Then the earthworms come up and they'll eat it, they'll digest it, and they'll pull that cover crop into the soil. It's really fantastic. In June, July, and August, because this is a very, very, very hot area. In 2 weeks, that cover crop will be gone. Either melted from the heat and the earthworms and the microbes digesting it. You can just go in there, put a different kind of landscape fabric on top, and plant right in that cover crop.
Wow.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Do you ever let it go fallow?
No, but I wish I could. So I'm in this unique situation where I am leasing this property, and this is in a valley. So on either side of this long valley, it goes up. So I can't. I'm landlocked, right? What I'm hoping to do on this new outdoor rental project that I'm working on is that very thing, right? So what I would like to have is 2 or 3 plots that I can rotate around. So one plot can just be resting, cover crop, and just give some time to let that soil rest. I've been working in this 1 acre farm really hard for 15 years. And it does well. We add, 3 or 4 inches of compost every single year. Like, we're adding a lot of nutrients to the soil. It's healthy. But it would be nice to give it a break and grow some cover crops just to help the land heal some. So that's my long-term kind of vision for this one here, is that we'll get these beds prepped and then kind of rotate each year for these plots. If you have the room, I would highly recommend it. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I would say 20 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a long time. Yes, ma'am.
How do you grow tomatoes?
Okay, tomatoes, yes. All right. In my opinion and experience, tomatoes are best done under cover. So there is some beautiful tomato plants under a tunnel in those big greenhouses when you guys first kind of come in. I'm not sure if they're doing tours or not. You guys doing tours? Okay. John says they're doing tours. I would highly recommend you going on those tours and checking out those tomatoes in one of those greenhouses. That is the way you do it. You don't need a greenhouse that big. Literally, you can have a 20-foot long, 15-foot wide, very inexpensive. You can grow a lot of tomatoes. Tomatoes do not like rain. They do not like any moisture being on those leaves. So this is where drip tape, and you'll notice if you go in there, all of those tunnels, Baker Creek has drip tape in all of those tunnels. So you can see what I'm really talking about. But there's drip tape, and those plants look amazing. There is tomatoes that look like this in those tunnels right now. They're that size. It's incredible, okay? That is how you grow tomatoes. So they're doing it right. It's a bit of an expense. But once you start growing in tunnels, you'll be forever changed. You will not want to go back to growing out in the open field. It is expensive to grow in, but rain or shine, going into a greenhouse in February and seeing plants green, and you're harvesting salad and spinach and carrots, it's very intoxicating. So I highly recommend everyone just have a small little greenhouse just to experience the magic of harvesting your own fresh produce in February. All right, anybody else?
So
Yes.
I'm curious, do you do them like with a string? and
Yes.
put 'em up?
Yep. So there's a few ways you can do this. You can hang a string from the top of your greenhouse down and just clip them. I believe if I remember correctly, I think they have stakes, and then they're weaving string around the stakes to tie up the plants around the string. You can kind of see what they have. Like if you get a chance, I highly recommend checking those tomatoes out. I walked in there this morning, and it was very, very impressive what they're doing. That's exactly how I grow mine. A little bit different trellising system, but the same thing. Except, I do have fabric on mine, but it's the same kind of quality of tomatoes. We've been harvesting tomatoes on our farm for about 4 weeks now, and we've been harvesting cucumbers since the middle of March. Yes, ma'am.
Do you use any shade cloth at all?
Yes. Yep. Highly. So this was taken in the wintertime, but yes, we do a lot of shade cloth, especially on tomatoes in the summertime. Usually the 1st of June is when shade cloth goes on things. A lot of our lettuces, cucumbers, most everything likes some shade cloth. However, some lettuces we do like. We'll put shade cloth on for the first 2 weeks after planting, and then once the roots get established, we'll take it off. If we don't, what we find is things like red leaf. If you look at that picture, the top left picture there, you see some red leaf lettuce. That will be more pale. It won't be as dark, brilliant red if you use shade cloth. That's been my experience. So for the last week or two, we will take off shade cloth. That just gives a little bit more density to the lettuce, a little bit more color, more shine, but most everything else really benefits from shade. There is an auction, I believe, tomorrow, right? Yes. And there's 2 pieces of shade cloth that I've got my eye on. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it to that auction, but I would highly recommend, if any of you guys are considering getting a high tunnel, go to that auction and snag that shade cloth. Not a lot of people know what that is, but it will change your summer growing experience drastically.
Do you have time for one more question?
One more question. Yes, ma'am.
What's the best way to shade a cattle panel arch?
Okay, so what I would do, all right, so if you're doing a cattle panel arch, you don't need a big piece of fabric. I would go to Amazon, and I would just get they sell very small pieces of shade cloth, say 10 foot by 16, right? So you would just drape that over your cattle panel, and most shade cloths have what is called grommets. These little metal O-rings that are pressed into the corners of your shade cloth. And then you just get a string or a hook, and you tie that to the bottom of your cattle panel, and you'll be good to go. Yep. All right, guys, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you maybe next year.